Hi,
Uh,
everyone. So Garrett, can I let you in on a
yeah,
little secret that I
yeah.
actually ran into Aiden in New York last week, and I had just watched your podcast, and I'm like,
Oh
who
my,
is this? I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he is like a creative like juggernaut. And he goes, well, would you want to do? Because, and I said, by the way, I've prepared nothing, and I have no time for next week. And he said, well, would you want to do like a fireside chat? I'm like, yes. So my curiosity about your brilliance and my laziness have combined to bring us together.
perfect, perfect. Well, and I'm very curious because like we come from totally different worlds. I'm like YouTube, and you're very much like everything else. It seems like you're like the
Yeah,
cutting edge of everything.
rest of world. We like in the kind of licensing parlance, we call it ROW, rest of world.
Rest of yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so well, but I think that was part of the because I know Maxim very well. I've known him for years and always been a big supporter of the creativity conference. And they did say like you can't have someone from your industry if you're going to do a fireside chat, which is how your name came up.
Uh, okay.
And I think it was really and actually I'm kind of a big proponent of this idea that as we move forward, whether it's in creativity or in business, like the more kind of cross pollination that we do across industries, because we all sort of work in our silos, and we never, like you and I would never meet most likely in a business context unless you wanted to do virtual production, right? And that's like an
Yeah.
obvious place where we would meet. But beyond that, I don't think we're doing enough to kind of look to other industries for inspiration about how we should do things. But besides that,
Yeah.
you are a creative juggernaut. Like, do you ever
Oh,
sleep?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, a little bit here and there. No, I mean, what you said really, like rings true to me, especially because, I believe in like a generalist. I am a generalist. I believe in generalism. I believe in like, there's a place for experts. Experts are great, but the more I can like get out there and learn from things outside of what I do, outside of my field, I think the better. I recently read this book, Range, and it really like kind of made me accept myself more. Like I'd always kind of been a generalist. That's just the way I wanted to live my life. I just love everything. And reading that book kind of like, oh, there's other people out there like me. And it's okay to not be an expert in something. Because I am not an expert in anything.
Well, but to
But
be a showrunner, like that's a big deal. Like you have to really be buttoned up, but then you have the creative side. So that's like a very left brain, right brain, interaction.
yes. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's a little different on digital than on like, a sitcom, a TV show, even on a streaming
There's
platform
like
like
three
Netflix.
cameras and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little pared down. It's quite a bit pared down. But it is like interesting because it is like, we're just looking at the strike recently. Part of it was about and I'm not able to speak, totally for the WGA. I'm not in the WGA, but like, part of it was like so many showrunners were unprepared because it is a generalist position. It is like a position where you have to be creative, be a writer, uh, and also have the logistics, have that logistical side, like you said, left brain and right brain. And it's not easy. I mean, it's hard for me, like I was producing first and trying to do my own creative stuff on the side, and it was just like hard to switch my brain. Do you so I mean, do in your field, are you doing both like creative and logistics on the yeah, as CEO, I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah, it's
that's
it's
all that
similar. It's
is.
a
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a little bit of everything. And I also like kind of like we said, like that you're constantly out there learning. I am at a lot of events, not because I'm trying to make myself more well known. I actually want to know less. I want to know fewer people. But that I actually really believe in technology. And I think a lot of the fear mongering, which grabs headlines, is you know, it's, I think it's doing all of us a disservice. And so, you know, I have to be out there thinking of ways to distill technology down into kind of a meaningful way. So I kind of you know, I call it having the decoder ring. But then, and you know, and I have to tell stories around it, right? This is how your life can be. This is how our lives can be. And then the flip side is, you know, very kind of, you know, technical interactions with large companies, with multiple stakeholders. So there's, you know, it's creative navigating and kind of reading people, but then there's a technical component in that, you know, we're always, you know, we're consultants and strategists. So we're solving problems essentially, which is,
Yeah.
you know, I think what you do,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like you
exactly.
solve problems on the set, right?
Yeah. Well, and I feel like CEO, showrunner, or lead producer, like my favorite part of it is that it's always something new. I'm always learning something new and having to figure out how to solve a new problem. It's all problem solving in the end, and it's all very fun. I have a question. So, I'm a late adopter on new tech always. Like I was one of the last to get a smartphone in my friend group. Like, and it's not like
Where are
it's
you?
not like what's that?
Oh, someone's not
Oh,
muted.
Told about darling.
We're
Good
super
news,
psyched to hear
actually.
your chat in the
They're
background,
not going
though.
to take the bone marrow sample.
um, I'm curious about what was going on there, but yeah. So
Did I hear bone marrow
I
sample
heard
like
bone marrow
that?
sample.
That is, I did not expect that.
No,
And I want to know what the hell you're doing with that bone marrow sample, by
I
the way, because
know.
that doesn't sound like a thing to be doing in your kitchen.
No,
Or maybe it
no.
is. I
Yeah, I hope they're not at home right now.
don't know.
But yeah, so I'm always a late adopter on things, and not because like I'm like anti-technology. I'm just slow to get around to this stuff. Is there something like I should be getting ahead of the curve on? Is there something that like I don't know.
That you're missing.
What's the smartphone that I'm missing right now? Like what should I be
Well,
getting in on?
the good news is you're not really very far behind because you know, VR, which is where I started my company, focused on VR, and then we sort of added AR, and then we added blockchain and AI, all before the hype cycles. But you know, VR is still not quite ready for prime time. So if you're not a gamer, although having said that, Meta has just announced the Quest 3, which is pretty cool. I don't necessarily recommend running out and getting one, but I live in LA. You can come and use mine when mine comes.
I have an
Um,
Oculus.
oh, which one do you have? The Quest?
No, an early Rift maybe?
Early, oh, the Rift. Oh yeah, with the yeah. So
All
this is
everything
like
plugged in. Yeah.
yeah, exponentially better. And you know, it's interesting, I think, for you just to see what it does, right? It's not
Yeah.
necessarily that you're going to want to spend a lot of time in it because there's still like we're going to absolutely laugh at photographs of ourselves with these bricks on our faces, even in like 5 years, certainly in
Yeah.
10. And so but I think the interesting thing is what we're trying to accomplish with the hardware, which we're not there yet, is blending the digital and the physical. So from a storytelling perspective and some of the work you do, imagine if you were able to kind of move your story from a set to maybe characters that just sort of live in the real world at all times, right? And so something
Yeah.
like that starts to get interesting. There are a couple of games out there that with you know, AR glasses that like aren't that great, but you can sort of wander around and you can sort of just jump into the game. There's a couple mobile as well, where the game is just sort of happening in the world around you. And
Yeah.
so that's where I think the technology gets interesting, and we are years away from. I shouldn't even say this out loud because I love this industry, but we're years away though from the glasses really being like this, and then
Yeah.
being able to display like really amazing graphics. So
Yeah.
you're not missing much is I guess
Okay.
the short answer.
Okay.
You're not too far behind,
Okay. That's good to hear. I'm glad. That's a relief.
but you
Where
got to
would you
get rid of
put?
the Rift though. That's terrible. That's
Okay, I
very old
know. I
technology.
know. I know it was kind of a leftover thing at work nobody wanted. So like
Exactly.
years ago.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, is Pokemon Go, is that like considered in this kind of world of, is it like
Yeah,
AR or
yeah. So
alternate? Okay.
yeah.
Augmented.
So AR, and there's kind of this like range, or AR is just sort of this digital display kind of plastered on the real world that doesn't necessarily have
Yeah.
context. That's actually what was annoying about Pokemon Go when it first came out, because it didn't really have any spatial awareness. So it would just be
Yeah.
like, you know, out in front of everything. And then now they've started to make it have more spatial understanding using the cameras on your phone.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I mean that mobile AR though, like holding up your phone to see this digital thing, it's not the greatest experience. Um, but I
Yeah.
don't know if you saw, did you see the Facebook or Meta just did their like Connect and announced the new device, but there's a very quasi creepy conversation with, and I'm forgetting his name now, but he's actually this sort of brilliant crazy programmer who's got a very successful podcast, and he and Zuck appeared as what they're calling their codec avatars, and
Yeah.
it's beyond what we call uncanny valley, which is that weird like robotic thing
Yep.
that makes you go like, what is that thing?
Yeah.
But it's like almost there, and it's even creepier that it's almost there. I'll send you the video after.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. Because like I love, like I do love my Rift. Like I haven't broken it out in a couple of years, but like one of my favorite things on it is just getting into Google Earth
Hmm.
and just zooming around the globe and just like grabbing parts of the Earth, seeing what I want to see, like zoom in on it and just be there. It's like there's cool stuff. There's cool stuff there, and I can't wait for it to kind of like really fully immerse me in these places.
Yeah.
uh and like every time I play a game on it, it's very cool, but yeah, it's a Rift, so it takes up so much space. It takes up it's like I'm fully immersed in it,
And
and
the laptop and the thing, and then
yeah.
you can't have any lamps around because you're going to knock those over.
No, no. And I live
But
in
the new
LA.
one
I have
you'll
a
be
small
impressed.
apartment. Okay.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. But the
Yeah.
new one, you'll be impressed because the fidelity is going to be, exponentially better. Even the Quest standalone, though it's untethered. The first one, they've been making like gradual improvements in the kind of visual fidelity, and so this next device will be much better.
Yeah.
Um, but I think for the things that you're doing, there's definitely going to be a point at which there's some crossover. But I'll tell you the thing that's very cool about what you do, because I watched a bunch of I guess it was more your it was on your site, because we found each other on LinkedIn yesterday, and I was like, oh, I'm
Yes.
just cyber stalking you.
Who is this
um,
person I'm talking with tomorrow?
I know, I know, I
Yeah.
know. But no, but like you're a performer as well. And
Yeah.
is that
Yeah. Yeah.
like all improv, or is it there's something like very organic and cool? And then all of you have such a great relationship in like the
Yeah.
way that you kind of work together and play off each other. I mean, I just feel like I'm sitting at a table with you in some of those videos. It's great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean that is the goal, is to kind of like make it feel like you're there with us. Kind of like, it's an authentic experience, kind of like dropping in on friends, and you're part of that friend group. And I mean, I've been performing, I don't know, uh, 25 years maybe, something like that. But like, my degree is in theater. That was, what I really loved. And I mean, I also see like, we're making a return to live theater nowadays. And I'm curious to see, where that goes, because I think I worked at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe for 7 years,
Oh,
and
amazing.
it's fantastic. And like, I think like with this, we have so much content now, and people are starting to kind of crave an experience, you know? And so a lot of people are, you know, I'm seeing more shows sell out now here in the LA area. There's, you know, a theater I like a lot called the Idiot or the Elysian Theater, a lot of clowns, like a lot of like uh it's more of a, like an experience kind of theater. Um and I yeah, I really see like us returning to that. But I think it is because we want that experience. We want that like connection with people. And I want to, and like I've always loved that. That's why I got into this, is like the connection with people. And yeah, and I'm curious to see where that goes because I love immersive theater as well. You know, and there's some that uses like AR to like varying degrees. I haven't quite seen it used well yet in immersive theater, but like I don't know. I'm curious to see where that craving for connection and like a one of a kind experience leads us, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what was very cool about the work that you guys do, that it feels like improv, but it
Yes.
feels real and not zany. And
Yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah.
I tell you, if you did a show like that where it was like, okay, let's do this, okay? I'll invite all my weird tech people friends. Uh and just like I like literally have a dinner party that we come and watch that's not scripted. And sure, you can take like a couple of suggestions from the audience.
Yeah.
But then the thing that I think really sets you guys apart as actors is that you really seem like you're all friends, like and I think that if you did something like that that wasn't as theatrical but as real, I think you would just suck everybody in. You could just like a little theater in the round, we're all sitting around just like watching you have dinner, and you could actually be eating. I would pay good money to go and see that. I think that'd be amazing.
I may try to put that, I may put that on. That sounds
All
incredible.
right, see, this is like the birth of a
Yeah.
show.
I've been a part of, I've gone to an immersive experience where you are sitting at the table with other people, with the actors who are eating, you know, having a family dinner. You're in this house with them, and it's yeah, you have this experience sitting at the dinner table with them, talking with them. They're there because of like a member of the family just passed, and you're sitting there with them, kind of going through the grieving process, and then you kind of experience other things throughout the house with them. uh and it was like, I don't know, like one of the most fun. It was scripted, but they still had to improvise around that. That was for my first thought from what you were saying, but I have
Yeah.
another thought real quick. uh like I've been doing improv for like 20 years now, and one of my favorite things that when I watch a team is you can tell when they love each other or not, you know, when they are really into each other. I've seen teams of like the most amazing performers get together, but it's not good because they don't have a camaraderie off stage. And the teams that do have that connection off stage, that work on that, those are always the most fun to watch because they're having fun and you are, you know, just a part of that fun. And
Yeah.
it's my favorite thing.
Yeah, I
We
love
got
that. I think, yeah. So are we do have a question?
I Danny was just
Just
oh,
canvassing.
I
that
just
was
put
to
in
the
the
chat.
comments if
That was to
anyone
the
has
chat.
any
Okay.
Yes,
questions
yes,
I saw like
yes.
a little, I
Got it,
have a
got it.
little red one on my chat.
Nice.
So we'll
Yes.
we'll just we'll carry on yammering until someone wonders what the
It's
heck we're
amazing.
talking
No,
about.
keep going.
So I have one more question for you.
Yeah,
Is have you played with ChatGPT yet?
a little bit, a little bit. I've played around with it. Yeah, I've kind of like bounced ideas off of it for pitch decks that I've worked
Hmm.
on. Um, and kind of
What do you
like,
think?
it's it definitely has some strengths and some weaknesses. Like
Yeah.
I like it for, this kind of like bouncing ideas off of for pitch decks, like, uh, yeah, because it kind of like it helps me kind of like get my thoughts together.
Yeah.
I haven't used it in like 6 months, maybe,
Yeah.
or 4 or 6 months.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
do you
think
have
it's pretty cool.
suggestions? Yeah, do you have
Yeah,
suggestions for me
it's
for?
definitely there's definitely a learning curve because I think when I was
Yeah,
first started with it, I was like so excited. I was like, I'm gonna get my hands on this thing. And I wasn't, prompting very well. I wasn't giving it specifics.
yeah,
And then I started using it not for my actual decks yet, although I have had it do some outlines and it's done an amazing job on the outlines, especially with things where I need to actually pull facts because as much as I love to, put fake news out there, I try and have some basis in reality.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but now I've sort of evolved the way that I ask it questions, and I'm super specific, and then I'll give it some examples of like my own writing, and
yeah.
then it spits out. So I just use it for the brief. So it'll be like, this is what the talk is, and I'll say, okay, this is what I want to talk about. These are some facts I want to pepper in there, and then it's usually too long, and I just have to cut it down. But I have to say, it's like I think I've gotten better at using it. Oh,
Yeah,
someone's
yeah,
saying, where have you seen AI tools? Wait, hold on. Let's see what the question is. Oh, short and fail. Well, it hallucinates, right? Which I think is a misnomer. I understand from in kind of coding terms why they're using the word hallucinate, but really it feels like extrapolate because it's taking something, especially like there was the story that broke about the lawyer who used it for closing arguments, and it made up case law to
yeah.
support his argument. And so, yes, from a technical standpoint, I understand why they use the term hallucinate, but that kind of, and I can never say this word, anthropomorphizes it, and it's not human, and it feels like what it's doing is it's hitting a wall and then it's just reaching and saying, all right, so
Hmm.
I can't find the thing, so I'm gonna make something up that would logically support this argument. And that's one of the biggest challenges on the plus side, both on the visual side and on the writing, because I play around with Midjourney a lot. I actually have a fine art degree, which people were clamoring for me when I got out of college. I can't even tell you how many people are like, where are the BFAs? Like, we need the BFAs.
Oh,
Um,
as a theater grad,
you get
yeah,
it, right?
yeah, I
They're
get
just
the
like,
same. Yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah, we're dying to have you in the fold. But by the way, we're
It's-
the ones who are going to own the future. So anyway, um, but it is pretty fascinating. It does come down to the prompts. So of course, I did the deep dive and did what everyone does, which is like watch a bunch of videos on people how they use Midjourney, and I think the visuals are much harder. Like I have a harder time really, like I'll have an image in my head, and I am a photographer, so it's like I have a strong kind of visual idea of what I'm trying to accomplish, and I would say I'm probably 50-50 on whether I can like coax it out of Midjourney. um but in terms of especially sort of rote tasks like writing emails, or just I need to do a quick social media post, like those kinds of things are really good. I will caution everyone who's all 12 of you on the call, that do not put the Chrome or any of the plugins, depending on what browser you use, don't put the AI tool plugins, because most of them are malware in some form, but some of them are actually quite nefarious. And one of them actually actively stole people's Facebook accounts, and then took them over and then started propagating really negative sort of hate speech. So that technology, we're gonna have a negative swing of people who are much more technologically savvy and have sort of nefarious intent, leveraging this technology in unpleasant ways for us. So just be smart about what you're using, what tools you're using.
How is GPT for sheets and docs? Should
Well,
I get
there's
rid?
no, see, yes, get rid of all of that. In
Yeah.
fact, the one that was called ChatGPT for Google, which everyone thought was a Google product, was the one that stole everybody's
Oh wow.
Facebook accounts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the thing
You
the
know,
thing that people I think forget is just because it's in like the Chrome store or Google Play, wherever it is, that they've vetted all of them and they have, you know, hundreds of thousands of different apps and plugins and extensions. And so, you know, they do a cursory check, but, you know, you're sort of beholden to the privacy policy. There are other ones that'll ask you for things like your birth date, like that's a red flag. Don't put your date of birth in anything.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I am uninstalling as we speak.
Yeah. Okay. See, pro tip. We've been successful.
Yep.
So we've created your next live show. I've
Yes.
saved you from potentially losing your Facebook. I feel like we've accomplished like a
Yes,
good,
I think
solid
so.
amount of work today. I think we've solved some problems. And
Yeah.
I will show you, I'll reach out when I get my my Quest 3 and
Yes, please.
we'll take you for a spin. I'll put you in some
Okay.
of my favorite games.
I'd love that. Yeah. I tried to play Skyrim on my Rift, and
Oh,
I was just
really?
like, I'm either all in on this or I can't touch it because it's
Yeah.
I knew right away that that's all I would do. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to play games at somebody else's house and not have
Yeah.
access to that
And
just
then
right
yeah,
now.
and then you just go away and
Yes.
leave them, you
Yeah.
know, to their basements, their mom's
Yeah.
basement. All
Well,
right, well, I look forward to your talk
Oh,
next.
thank you. Thank you.